Hello, my food mood friends. Welcome, Chandra and Odyssey. Happy New Year. Good to see you, 2023. I had just had a cold last week, if you can't tell. I'm a little still slightly congested. And I also have a new website. If you haven't gone and checked it out, it's looking pretty stylish and fresh. And in the process of creating a new website, doing a makeover on my website, I have been going through a lot of my old content and some content that got kind of buried. If you know anything about building websites, there's categories and ways things show up and don't show up. And I found actually an archive of some really long content articles that I want to revisit and bring attention back to. So this week I want to touch back in on one of those contents that I created and republish it. It's called
Welcome! Here is your hostess and coach, Chandra Zas, helping people make food and mood changes doable without missing out. Go ahead, high five that like button, subscribe and share while you're there.
It's called Food Matters. And the next one I'm going to do next week is Emotions Matter. Because this is what I do, right? Food and mood coaching. It's like the basics and the foundations to our health is what are we eating and how are we feeling and what are we doing with our feelings? And so why not bring it back to the basics and go back over it? I thought about reading you guys the post. It's an incredible post with a ton of good content in it. So depending on where you're watching this, I do recommend you going over to my blog and checking out the post on Food Matters. There's an incredible amount of information there. I talk about the kind of foods I eat, the kinds of foods I don't eat, how I think about our friendly bacteria, our microbiome, which foods kill the friendly bacteria, which foods feed the friendly bacteria. There's a lot there. So I do recommend going there. I also talk a little bit about my history and why I got into this and how food really was like the baseline for me, really changing my health. And it is really what I have come to see over and over with my clients and my friends and myself, of that the most basic thing that we can all do for our health is eat foods that fuel us. I have in my program, I talk a lot about redefining food. I have a food re-education module. And in there, I really talk about like how, there's a lot of things there's a lot of calories that we call foods that I don't call foods. They're calories and they're high profit. They profit businesses and they don't really profit our health. And so kind of redefining like what is an actual food? What is the purpose of food? Food is meant to be fuel for our body. It's meant to be medicine. It's meant to give us energy and calories. And there is in the Industrial Revolution, and I talk a lot about this in the post, like in the Industrial Revolution in the last 50 years, there's all of these shelf-stable, packaged, highly processed foods that we're consuming quite regularly and are doing a lot of harm to our health. And so redefining food and getting food to a place where food is something that is nourishing our body, that it's not just something to comfort us from uncomfortable emotions or pass time when we're bored or entertain us or pacify our kids when they're acting out and we need them to have their attention distracted. Food can be used for a lot of things, and a lot of things are often not connected to actually fueling our body. And so breaking it down to this most basic thing of that the food that we eat, what we're putting in our mouth regularly, matters so much to our health.
Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm in the Dead Sea, floating in the water. Go ahead and like and share and follow so we can keep in touch.
And it's not only to our physical health, it's to our mental health, it's to our emotional health, it's to our microbiome health, it's to our brain productivity, it's to our skin, it's to our inflammation, it's to our longevity. Like it's really connected to all of these components. And it's really hard sometimes to connect the dots of, well, I don't feel that bad, or I don't really notice a difference. And so we just kind of keep eating processed foods and not really connecting the dot of how it's actually accumulating and harming our health. And one of the things I offer, which I'll put a link below this video, is I do a food reset in my program, and I have a free version of it. It's called the 14-day food reset challenge, where I do a lot of the same food re-education I do in my program, where I help redefine in your brain like what is actual food and what's processed and why question which things, and have a challenge of like actually eating whole unprocessed foods for 14 days and really feeling that difference in our body of how much food actually really matters. And maybe you've heard this story or not, but for me, when I was 15 or 16, my best friend at the time dared me to be vegan because she was an animal rights person, and I lived in a small town. This was 25 years ago, and there was no vegan alternatives. And so what it meant for me to eat vegan, because I was of course up for the dare and the challenge, I love dares and challenges, it meant that I only ate fruits and vegetables because all of the breads had dairy products in them, and so I just ate really, really simply. And on day 10, I woke up and I was like, what just happened? I don't have pain in my head. I see colors in the sky. I felt this radical shift after 10 days of eating this way. And this is what I see in my clients and the people who go through this food reset, is that it often only takes 5 to 10 days to see a noticeable difference, to see less inflammation or feel less inflammation, to feel less pain, to have rings fit, to even lose several pounds can happen just by taking out processed foods. It's really, the food we eat matters so immensely. And in our culture, it's such a common thing to be confused about what's healthy, or to not be totally sure, or to be hooked and addicted, and to be buying convenient stuff because we don't have time. And it's just so easy to have a lazy, destructive relationship with food that doesn't serve us. And that we, like, there's a video that I created about how convenient foods save us time, how we think that just by grabbing pre-made things or ready-made things, it's saving us time. But the big argument that I make in that video is like, we think we're saving ourselves time, but what it does to our body, how it slows our energy down, how it makes us need more sleep to recover, how it actually steals time from us. It may take less time to prepare the food, but we lose time and energy in our day when we're eating processed convenient foods. So as I look back at this article that I wrote a couple years ago, and I'm refreshing and reading through it, and I'm like, it's so true. And it's so much of like what I've just seen proven over and over through each of my clients' stories and health successes. And even the people who are going through my free ends of my program, they're like, wow, it's so enlightening to really get into your brain, into our brains, of how much food matters. When I was a kid, I was living on, I ate my parents totally did their best, and my dad definitely tried to make sure we had our vegetables, but I was eating like hot dog buns and mayonnaise as a snack, and I was making banana milkshakes with like a cup of sugar and milk. And I was eating totally, like on holidays, just eating, I don't know how many dozens of cookies. And just, I remember feeling so not good and not knowing why. But once we know, and I actually, so to bring that actually is an interesting story. So we just had Christmas. It's just the first week of January. And I had this really cool moment where our whole Christmas plans got thrown out the window, and a whole new set of Christmas plans came in because of COVID and sicknesses and all these things. And we ended up spending some Christmas with some dear friends and actually several dear friends, and they're really into organic cane sugar. And there was still all of these like sweets that technically, they're like better than the average mainstream. Like they probably don't have hydrogenated processed oils in them, but they still had sugar and flour and all these kinds of things. And I didn't want any. I was like, I'm totally around all this. I could totally have it. They're versions that I would kind of think are worthy of an exception or indulging in. And I didn't want it. And I was like, I want to feel like uber present and connected to myself and feel really good in my belly and in my brain. And I had no desire for the sweets. It was really a cool experience. Now, given I had a serious sugar addiction when I was in my early 20s, really serious sugar addiction. And so it takes some time, but there's a total process, and there's a way to decrease those urges and those desires for the foods that don't make us feel good. It's a very loving process. Another thing that I've really come to like own about the way that I work with people is like really making food changes from a place of like love, like really loving our future self and not doing restriction and willpower and force, but really getting to a place of like, how do I want to feel after this meal? How do I want to feel tomorrow morning? How do I want to feel 10 years from now? And embracing that love and cultivating that love for ourselves and making choices from that place. And keeping and embedding that belief in our brain that food matters and questioning what is food. My definition is that food is something that fuels our body, not the man-made calories that are fun to eat, that taste good for a moment and then make me feel yucky afterwards. And I know that some of you, like you don't quite feel that difference because you're kind of used to having processed foods in your body. But that's why I really encourage you to do my 14-day food reset, where you feel what it feels like to not have processed foods in your body. And then when you have the processed food, you can feel the difference. You can feel what it does to your energy, your vibration. I mean, I'm not saying like it's a hippie thing. I'm saying it's like a very real thing that everybody who goes through it feels. So I would encourage, if you're interested in like curious of like questioning like your relationship with food and like why you're eating which foods and how foods make you feel, I really encourage you to do this 14-day food reset. It's funny, in the beginning of this video, that was not my plan to promote that, but I really do promote it. So go to my app, the way to find the 14-day food reset, and I'll put this instructions in this post as well. Go to my app, Zen Odyssey, download my app, and when you go to the first page, there are several free classes there, and one of them is the 14-day food reset challenge. So sign up for that. It's free, nothing to lose. There's a ton of content in there. There's an experience of actually cutting this food out for a short period of time just to give your brain some evidence that food matters. It's real, it's true. And it's really powerful to have the knowledge. I was just talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she ate some food out of her cupboard that had some MSG in it. And she was like, it was just a childhood flashback. I had to do it. And then she's like had the experience the next day. She like felt herself swollen and felt her skin off. And we talked about that, like that moment and she was like, it's so amazing. I'm not judging myself, because that's one of the first layers, is remove our judgment. But then I said, well, and then next time, like bringing a conscious choice in there, and there's no right or wrong. Like you can indulge or not indulge, have it or not have it. But if you do it knowing the consequence, knowing that you're going to feel inflamed or that your skin's going to break out or that you're going to feel foggy or bloated, just knowing that that's like the choice that you're making, it becomes like an empowered conscious choice. And so then you have that choice of like, okay, do I want to eat this and feel this way? Well, actually, most of the time when we actually bring consciousness into that moment, we actually choose to not have it. And we do it by a place of like loving ourself, how we like we're choosing how we want to feel. It's a game changer. It's really, really a game changer. It's exciting. Okay, so food matters, and it's the new year. So welcome to the new year. And yeah, go check out my website. It's a great time of year to do the 14-day food reset challenge. It's a really great time. And I'll see you next week. If you have any requests, I would love to hear from you if you have any requests on video topics. I'm scheduling out what I'm gonna create for the next period of time. So if you have any requests, drop them below this video and let me know, or send me an email, Chandra Zen Odyssey. And of course, if you're looking to make some food changes and up your health game, email me, chandra@zenodyssey.com. Okay, have a beautiful time.